Hello everybody. This video is going to be about the first 12 figures that Kenner made. We affectionately call them the first 12. They were the first wave of figures that Kenner released in the stores for Star Wars. They were made in 1977. Their country of origin and date stamp all say 1977. But they didn't get to the stores until 1978. They were basically they got the license with Lucasfilm shortly before the movie came out, so they didn't have time to get the figures produced in time for Christmas. So they famously made the certificate that you could buy at the store that you could mail in, and then they would send you some figures in the mail. That's what that Luke Skywalker is from. So I wanted to do this video about what I feel are the most valuable figures that I have from the first 12. So I went through and for each figure I picked the most valuable variant that I had, put them together, and this is my most valuable figures from the first 12 that were released. So we're going to take a look at them a little bit closer one at a time, and we're going to start with that Sand People Tusken Raider up there. Alright, so Tusken Raider Sand People. This one is actually from my childhood. I got it as a gift from somebody, I don't remember who, but in 1983. I already had one that was played with that I got back in 78, so I never played with this one. And by 83, I wasn't playing with them as much anyway. And so this one never got played with. It's in near mint condition. What makes this one valuable, I'll bring it up, right here, these cheek tubes. Usually in all of these Sand People, those are rounded off at the end. But the Cater Factory, during the Return of the Jedi era, made a few with these hollow cheek tubes, and that's why we call this the hollow cheek tubes Sand People. And the Cater Factory made these. They were only released on Return of the Jedi cards for a while. They didn't make very many, and aside from the hollow cheek tubes, it's the dark paint variants. Some of them have really light brown paint. This one's really dark on the gloves and the bandolier. But this is all original. It's all Cater. It's from my childhood, near mint condition. These go, I've seen some that were not as nice as this one, then they usually sell for around the $200 range, if they're complete a little more. I wouldn't sell this for anything less than $300. I know some of it's probably some sentimental value since it's from my childhood, but if somebody wanted this one and it's all Cater parts, it's all perfect, I wouldn't take anything less than $300 for this guy. But I've had it since I was a kid, and when the day comes I start selling these figures off, I'll sell it. But for right now, it's pretty special to me, and it's my hollow cheek tubes Tusken Raider. Alright, so Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is the Ledy variant, and it's in really nice condition. The saber's missing its tip, but it is there. And let's take a look. Really nice gray hair. Really no paint loss at all. This one's in really nice condition. Cape is original, saber is original, just missing the tip. This one, goes for a little bit more than, or a lot more than a regular Kenner with a full tip saber, but this one in the $75 to $100 range for sure. It's in really nice condition. They're out there, they're not real hard to find. But the thing is, a lot of these, if you're in the States or in Europe and you buy one from Mexico, the shipping can be really high. And it's like that a lot of times when you buy from other countries. But Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ledy, made in Mexico for the Mexican market, and looks very different from the Kenner, different paint and that. But like I said, probably around the $100 range on this one. So that's my Ledy Obi-Wan Kenobi. Alright, here's Chewbacca. This is a PBP, which is the Spanish company that produced the figures for Spain. And again, you can see it's in great condition. Chewbacca doesn't have a whole lot of paint. The eyes, the bandolier, and then his pouch, which you can see there, is in really nice shape. His paint looks great. The eyes look great there. And here's the little scar, let's see. And that's how you know you have a PBP. There's no country of origin. And this is another one probably in the, I don't know, there's only a couple of them on eBay right now. I wouldn't expect to get more than maybe $75 to $100 for this, but I think Like there's a buy it now for like $180. So you'll see some pretty high buy it now prices sometimes, but I would expect to get in the $100 range for this though nowadays. It's a really nice PBP Chewbacca, made in Spain for the Spanish market. Some of them got released on tri-logo cards probably throughout Europe. Wasn't made for the American market. That's what makes it fun for us collectors here in the States. So that's a PBP Chewbacca made in Spain. Probably around, I'd say, like I said, around $100 or so. And for Princess Leia, I decided to go with this really nice Taiwan. This is a Kenner one. I actually keep this one displayed on, I'll show you at the end of the video, but my first 12 display stand, the mail away stand, I have this displayed on there because it's so nice. Taiwan, I noticed with Luke Skywalker too, they tend to go a little bit heavier on the eye paint and the eyebrows, and gives it a little bit more of a distinct look. A lot of the farm boy Lukes, I can look at the face and sometimes tell by the face or the leg paint. But same with Leia, very bold eye paint, nice dark hair. This lightsaber, I'm out of it too. This blaster, you can see there's a blue-black one. So the Leia blaster came in two different colors. What they call this one is blue-black, or really, really dark blue. And that's the one that came with this figure, with the original Princess Leia. For Hoth Leia and Bespin Leia, they had the same blaster, but it was blue. So if you see her with a blue blaster, you know that's not the one that she came with. She came with the dark blue, or what collectors call the blue-black, again, which is that. So if it looks blue, a lighter blue, then that's one that came with Bespin Leia or Hoth Leia. But with that blaster alone is probably $50-$60. But with that blaster and in the condition she's in and the fact that she's made in Taiwan, I wouldn't let her go for anything under $120. You can get complete Leias like this in not quite as good a condition for $80 to $100, but this one being made in Taiwan, Taiwan usually commands, for some of these older ones, it commands a little bit more of a premium. It does with Luke and Boba Fett. And so this one, yeah, I wouldn't let it go for anything under $120. It's a beautiful figure, and it's going to go back in my display. Now for Han Solo, I had to do a little research. You know, I have a PAC Han Solo and a glass light. The glass light's played with. It's not in great condition. It's still really cool. The PAC has some paint loss, but overall it's not in bad condition. But this one is worth more. And the small head Han, as you know, there were two versions of this figure made. You know, Kenner was originally going to go with the sculpt, but it turned out, the head turned out smaller than they wanted to. So they quit making this one really early on and replaced it and just went with the big head Han. So with this one, there's two different variants. You can see that the legs on them are black. Most of them are molded black plastic, so that's just the color of the plastic. They didn't have to use any paint. But some of the early ones, like this one, were actually molded in white plastic and painted black. Now this one, it's hard to tell. Usually what you look for, you can tell by just how glossy this is that it's painted, but you might see some paint loss along the lettering on the country of origin stamp, and you get a little bit of that there. What I like about this one, I'm going to take this off. You can see right there, where's my pen? Right in there, a little bit of paint loss, and that's where you can see that it's white. It's white plastic under there. What's interesting about this one, most of the time you can just look in the peg holes, and the peg holes will be white inside. These, the peg holes are actually painted inside. I purposely made a little tiny scratch mark right there, and just to confirm. But yeah, there's a little bit of white in there, but for the most part, they're even painted inside the peg holes. So this one, painted legs Han Solo, not nearly as many of them made. It goes for a lot more money than a regular one. It's got the gun. It's small head Han. Usually a small head Han in near mint condition with the gun can get close to $100. This one with the painted legs in as good a condition as it is, I wouldn't sell it for anything under $150. Some people might think that's a little high. Some might be willing to pay more than that. This one is about as perfect as you're going to get. It's hard to even tell that it's painted legs because there's such little paint loss. But if you compare it to molded legs, that's really shiny paint on there. And as I said, you know, there's a couple spots where there's some slight paint loss, but the hair, the face, everything, the hands, the belt, everything, the paint looks great on this one. It's definitely unplayed with. So yeah, I wouldn't let this thing go for anything under, like I said, 150 would be about the minimum I'd sell it for. Like I said, I don't know that anybody give me that, but I think I could get that for this one. So painted legs, small head, Han Solo. All right, so for Stormtrooper, I decided to go with my Ledy variant. As I mentioned before, Ledy is the Mexican company that had the license to produce the toys for the Mexican market. And Ledy, you know, they used, for most of their figures, they actually made their own molds. They did use some of the Hong Kong molds, but for Stormtrooper here, they did a great job with it. The mouthpiece is really wide compared to the Kenner ones. Really bold paint. This one's in really nice condition. Kenner Stormtroopers with the gun, you know, they still don't go for a lot of money. If it's a variant that somebody's really looking for, they might pay a little bit more, but usually like the $20 to $30 range for a Stormtrooper. A Ledy in this nice condition. I'll show you the stamp. So it's a smoothed out country of origin. There's no country of origin, just the date stamp. And Ledy, you know, I probably want $75 to $100 for this one. It's really nice. They don't go for a ton, but Stormtroopers are cool, and you know, there's a ton of different variants on this one. But the Ledy one is cool with that wide mouth and the big face paint there. So probably about $100, 75 to 100 on this one. The Ledy Mexican Stormtrooper. So for Death Squad Commander, I also went with Ledy, and these aren't real valuable. You could get this for $30 probably. Some of them have the emblem painted on, some don't. I actually had one that didn't have an emblem, and I sold it. But the more valuable variants on this guy are the PAC and PBP, which I don't have. But PAC always goes for a lot. That's a Spanish company, and PBP made some that they call a disco boots that has a really high platform right here, and that one goes for a lot of money. The one that I have, this is the most valuable one that I have. It's a Ledy, made in Mexico. Here you can get a look at, it's just got a blobbed out. You can see a little bit of residue of the Hong Kong, but it's been blobbed out, so it's just a date and the GMFGI. But it's a cool figure, but like I said, if you want to get into the high-end variants of him, you're looking at PBP and PAC. Ledys don't go for as much, and neither do regular Kenners, but it's a cool figure. I used to have a lot more variants on this guy, and I sold them off because I never even had this one when I was a kid. This is the only one of the first 12 that I didn't have as a child, because I liked aliens and cool figures. I didn't care about the generic guys like this. But if you're a variant collector, he's fun to collect. There are a lot of cool variants. Most of them aren't expensive. Do some research on the PBP Disco Boots one. It's pretty cool. But this is the Ledy Death Squad Commander, and like I said, probably around the $30 range. Okay, so you might be looking at this and wondering where the heck this came from and why is it in this list, because this is not the R2-D2 that came on a card back, and you'd be correct. But this is Takara. This is made in Japan. Takara had the license to make toys just during the Star Wars era, so like 1978 and 79. When Empire Strikes Back came out, that license went to a company called Popey, and then for Return of the Jedi, it went to a company called Sakuda. So Takara didn't make figures for very long. They made this one exclusively for Japan. Later on, it did end up in different bags sold in Canada for some reason, but I'll turn it around for you. And there you can see it says Star Wars, and they made their own little Star Wars emblem. You know, Lucasfilm didn't use that anywhere that I know of. says Japan. Now you can get some of these actually say Takara on the sticker too. But this one's super cool. And there's a look at the bottom, and you wind it up. Let's see. And it's there kind of. Well, you wind him up and he's supposed to walk. There he goes. So it's really cool. Most collectors would agree that this is not what you would consider one of the guys that was on the 12 pack, but it's super cool, and even Variant Villain lists it in their website because everybody likes it. So, and this is the most valuable R2-D2 that I have. You know, a solid dome, which is the original R2-D2 before the sensor scope and lightsaber pop-up, but a solid dome R2-D2, depending on the variant, can go in the $100 range anyway. These, when they're near mint, go for closer to $200. This one, you can see it faded pretty good on the back. I got a great deal on it in a lot of, I don't know, a dozen figures or so. But this one, you know, probably the $150 to $175 range still. Really cool figure. It still works, and it looks good in the display. So this is Takara, and they were, again, the Japanese company that made figures just during the Star Wars era for Kenner. So that's the Takara wind-up R2-D2. Again, probably in like the $150 range. All right, for Jawa, I went with Ledy again, and you look at this one, you think, wow, it's bare bones. How can it be the most valuable Jawa you have? Near mint Jawas with the cape and gun might go for somewhere around the $50 range. And again, if it's a variant that somebody wants, they may pay more or less, but right around the $50 range for a complete near mint Jawa. This one, without the gun, without the robe, with a little bit of paint loss on the hands. Otherwise, it's really nice. The eyes are great. This is still a $70, $75 figure all day. And you can see what makes it unique to Ledy. When you see the almond-shaped dark yellow eyes there, that's Ledy. Everybody else made round eyes. Only Ledy made those almond-shaped eyes. So, but they did a good job with this one. Ledy did a few very cool variants on this one. Now, this one's bare bones, but they did make a vinyl cape Jawa. If you weren't aware, you know, the Jawas coming out cloth cape. Early on, Kenner made them with the vinyl cape that they were having problems with, so they just stopped making the vinyl cape. They also tore very easily, so a lot of them didn't make it, you know, to people's adulthood collections. So Ledy made a vinyl cape one, and they also made a cloth cape with a removable head, with a removable hood, and both of those go for crazy, you know, and maybe the removable hood, either one of them can go for a couple grand if they're graded and everything. They're crazy money. So just a regular cloth robe for him and his gun from Ledy, you're still going to pay a lot of money. So a bare bones one like this, missing a little paint on the hands, $75 all day. It's still a really cool figure, a cool variant, but if you want a complete one, you're going to pay up. But this is my Ledy Jawa, right around 75 bucks. All right, so for Darth Vader, I went with one of my favorite variants in my entire collection. This is the Taiwan only country of origin stamp. The general consensus is this is mostly made for the Toll Toys company for the Australia, New Zealand market. Some people contest that, but the only examples I've ever seen that were still sealed and unopened have all been Toll Toys packaging. But what's unique about these is that the United States ones all say made in Taiwan. This one just says Taiwan. And I have two of these. They're two different sculpts. With this one, if you look at the cheek tube here, you can see how pronounced that is. It's huge. None of the other Vaders are like that, just this one. And the regular, I have another one that just says Taiwan, that the head sculpt looks more like the made in Taiwan, where these aren't so pronounced. But his whole head, if you can see, it's a little bit rougher plastic, and just a rough, crude sculpt all the way around. They even made a little mistake. You can see on the lightsaber right here, there's like some extra plastic hanging off. It didn't even cut the right way. And these go for good money. They're very, very hard to find. I personally believe they, at the very least, this crude one was probably just made for Toll Toys. But you don't see them in the wild here in the States, I will say that. And if you do, the person knows that they have something special. This one I actually bought from a United States seller on eBay, but they did advertise it as a Taiwan-only Toll Toys. So they knew what they had. And at the time, it was a couple $100. Now, with this one, it's the original cape, it's the original saber, missing the tip, but everything's original. It's in great condition and not really played with. It's just missing that lightsaber tip. But I wouldn't let this go for anything under $350. It may not sell for that much. If I put it on eBay, I might, maybe get $300 for it. But I know how hard it is to find. I don't know that I could ever replace it. If you look at my video a while back on my top 10 hardest to replace figures if I sold them, this one's on there. So it's super cool, super hard to find. If you ever see one and you can afford it, go ahead and buy it. It just says Taiwan. If it says made in Taiwan, those are common. Don't spend a lot of money on those. But if it just says Taiwan, you got something special there. That's what this one is. So this is my Taiwan, probably Toll Toys, which was the company that had the license to produce the figures for Australia, New Zealand. This is the Toll Toys Taiwan only Darth Vader. Like I said, I wouldn't sell it for anything under $350. All right, so here is my second most valuable figure from the first 12. This is C-3PO. What makes this one so special is if you're familiar with the Kenner figures, you got to be looking at this saying, what the heck is that? Because this guy has a completely different face than the Kenner version. Different body, different everything. Japan made their own sculpt for 3 figures. They did this one, they did Darth Vader, and they did Stormtrooper. They're all different sculpts from anything else. The other thing they all have in common is the date stamp and country of origin stamp. That Japan there is just awesome. And then you can see 1978, all the Kenner, Ledy, Pac, all of them say 1978 on them. This one, even the legs, he just stands differently. He's got a little bit of a gap between the hip, between the legs and the torso. But there's a good look at his face. Totally different than the Kenner version. This is another one that made my video of the top 10 hardest figures to replace if I ever get rid of them. I don't know that there are any on eBay right now, but they do come up occasionally. This one is in near mint condition. There's really nothing wrong with it. There's no scratches, there's no paint loss. It's just perfect. One thing nice about C-3PO is he does not come with any accessories. So, a lot of these figures, the accessories by themselves cost more than the figure by itself. So you don't need to worry about that with C-3PO. This one's awesome. I wouldn't sell this thing for anything less than $750. And, some people might think that sounds crazy, but if somebody has to have it and they can't find it anywhere else, that's what they would have to pay. None of these are for sale right now, but this one I wouldn't let it go for anything less than $750. And I've seen people asking a lot more than that for them on eBay. So this is the Takara, copyright 1978, alternate sculpt C-3PO. One of the coolest figures you can buy in the entire vintage Kenner line. This one's awesome. Takara C-3PO. All right, and now we're down to probably the most valuable figure I have actually in the entire collection still. This is Luke Skywalker double telescoping lightsaber. And as you can see, that's what we're talking about. So that's a separate piece. It goes in and out. So I mentioned earlier in the video that Kenner was not going to get these toys in the stores in time for Christmas of 1977. So they made a little certificate that you could buy at the store, give it to your kid, and you fill it out and you send it in, and they sent you, I'll bring you over to this real quick. They sent you that Star Wars display stand and with 4 figures. Now, what made it different with the Luke and Obi-Wan and Darth Vader is that they had this, what they call the double telescoping saber. So while after that, all the figures were made just with one piece. That was one piece that was connected here, just a little tip. It was just the same piece as this part, not 2 separate pieces like you see here. So these were made mostly for those mail-away gift certificates. A few of these actually did get on card backs and sent to the stores. Some just sold. If you do a search on Morphe's auction Star Wars, was it a year or 2 ago, a family sold off a bunch of figures for, they got either $3 million or $5 million for it. It was crazy money, but they had 1 or 2 of these still packaged. I think they might have been graded too, but they went for ridiculous money. Very, 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 very few of them even made it to a package and sent to the stores. And most of those, you know, the lightsabers got lost. So to have one still on the card, it went for crazy money. This is Cater Factory with the brownish Cater paint there. And there's the COO. Now, the figure itself is near mint. I mean, this would grade an 85 any day at least. But the figure by itself, you know, is probably a $30, $40 figure if it doesn't have any lightsaber. That lightsaber by itself, $750 to $800. I wouldn't sell it for anything less than that. With this, in this condition, this is easily, I wouldn't sell this for anything under $800 and might even get more. It's common to find no inner filaments at all here or a broken one. I have another lightsaber, double telescoping saber with no inner filament. It's got the outside part though. But this one, yeah, $750 to $800. And they're out there, you can find them. But this one's a near mint, and there's not a ton of them. And when you do find them, you're going to pay up. But this is my double telescoping Luke Skywalker early bird kit, they called it. And again, the $750 to $800, maybe even more. But it won't be for sale for a long time. But he is still what I would consider probably the most valuable figure that I have. The nice thing is I didn't spend this much money on all these. They've just gone up a lot over the years, so hopefully they can continue to at least hold steady, if not go up some more. But I'm enjoying holding them for now, so they're not for sale. But anyway, that's Luke Skywalker double telescoping saber early bird. Yeah, I was just going to show you real quick where I keep all these figures in the display. Hollow cheek tubes is up here. And let's see as we go down. On there's the double telescoping Luke, the Princess Leia, and the Han Solo that I put in the video. And down here we have, there's Obi-Wan, Ledy, Chewbacca PBP, there's the Ledy, Death Squad Commander, Stormtrooper, and Jawa. Over here, this is my international shelf. There is that Takara C-3PO, the Takara R2-D2, and that super cool Darth Vader. So, thanks for watching the video, and hopefully you liked it, and please go ahead and hit subscribe and check out some more of my videos. I have a whole bunch of them up here. I'll be making some more again soon. Thanks a lot for watching.